I hope that you're having an amazing day today. And we haven't been live for a Wednesday Wisdom Day in a little bit. So I'm excited to go live today with a girl I met in a castle in France. My friend Chen Shanfu is here, and she has an incredible story. And I can't wait to get into it today. You guys are going to learn so much about, different websites you can sell on, different platforms, different things that you can do. You're going to learn a lot from Shan Chan's story. And I think that overall, when we hear stories of successful business owners, we all learn something. So I know that I myself am going to also learn today. So I can't wait. I've never dug this deep into your story before. And I'm so excited to just kind of get into it today and learn more about you. So why don't we start off by just you introducing yourself and telling us how you got started in e-commerce.
Yeah, thanks, Amy, for having me. So, I used to work in tech, but I was always very fascinated by e-commerce and passive income because, when I was working in tech, I thought if I work really hard, I could be VP one day. But then when you get to VP, guess what? You have to work even harder. So it's like you're working hard to work harder. And I didn't like that vibe. So I come from China. My family's an import export, but not originally. They all ended up there, and but I just didn't know what product to sell. I couldn't think about it. I had analysis paralysis until the pandemic hit, and it was so obvious in like April 2020 that everybody needed face masks and there just wasn't any nice looking face masks. So
Wait
that's
a
when I
second.
realized.
Wait a second. You must be really, really awesome because face masks were not easy to sell. I mean, I've been selling since 2007. My account is older than dirt, and even I couldn't sell face masks. So, how did you? Well, first of all, one thing that you mentioned is you were like, I didn't know what product to sell. How
Mhm.
did you even find out about e-commerce? Like, how did you know you even wanted to sell online to begin with?
I think it's YouTube. Because you can learn anything from YouTube, and I've really learned all of my e-commerce skills from YouTube. And also, when I was working in tech, I worked at a digital agency where we would build websites with Shopify, for example, for other people. So, building websites for other people, e-commerce was just always top of mind as I saw them build out their platform. And you're right. During the pandemic, Amazon had a policy that you could not benefit from the pandemic, but there is a way around it. I didn't realize the way around it at first, so I looked for other platforms. And there was one platform that did not have the we don't benefit from the pandemic policy, and that was Etsy.
What? Oh, I remember. Yeah, because people had all of these cool face masks. Like they were making, I met a guy on Clubhouse. Of course, Clubhouse was a thing during the pandemic too. I met this guy in a random room on Clubhouse who was selling masks to businesses with their logos and stuff on it. And he was doing very, very well selling these business logo masks, these promotional product masks. And he was doing it on his own website, and kind of following up with people on Instagram. But that was interesting. So you started on Etsy.
Correct, yeah. So Etsy had tons of handmade masks, and but probably most were not handmade. And it was really easy. Like you could post a product and be live in like 5 minutes. You don't even need a barcode.
Wow. So you were like, screw Amazon. I'm
Yeah,
going to just try out this Etsy thing. And
yeah.
did you know anything about SEO? Did you know? I mean, obviously you were working for tech, so you knew a little bit that you needed to properly describe the product and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But, I'm sure you've learned some lessons selling on Etsy over the years. But and maybe you would do things differently with what you know now selling on Etsy. But How did you get the listing up? Did you just write a listing just kind of out of nowhere? Just, hey, and then where did you get the product from?
So when I realized I wanted to do face masks, my family works in import export, but not in any consumer products. They work in like B2B. And I said, hey, you know what? We know some factories. Can we just like ask around and see who provides face masks? And at the time in China, because literally the entire world needed to purchase face masks, every factory was changing. If they were selling diapers before, suddenly they're selling face masks. If they were selling water bottles, suddenly they're selling face masks. So everybody was producing them. And before there were shipping restrictions, if you were quick in like April, you could get the mask really fast. And I managed to get about 1,000 units from China to my door in San Francisco in 2 weeks. And that was very fast. And then there were shipping restrictions after, which made it harder. But in 2 weeks, I got it, and that really helped being somewhat early. If I wish I had even been earlier. I wish I had done it in March.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, we all have those coulda, shoulda, woulda moments, right? So what happened? You put the face masks on Etsy, and did they fly
And
off the virtual shelves?
yeah, all you had to do was post a picture, which I took from my iPhone. They didn't even have a white background, and I made up some descriptions, right? I really didn't try that hard, and I got a sale on the second week. Sorry, second day. So first day I posted it, second day I got a sale. And that's the beauty of Etsy is Etsy does give you an algorithm push, even if you don't spend a single dollar on ad spend. It's not a lot. They're not going to show you a lot, but they'll give you a little bit of traffic.
And what's great, since there's not that many years to creating listings, one of the Etsy hacks that I heard over the years from sellers that are doing very well on Etsy is to just keep creating new listings. So if you have like a listing that's going bad or something, or it's not getting a lot of traffic, you just create another one and of the same product, and it, will refresh it. And I thought that was really interesting hearing that some top Etsy sellers have an average of 20 listings for each product. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. That's different. I don't know if that policy has changed at all, but yeah, it's really cool. I like the idea of getting started on Etsy, but Etsy isn't for everyone, right? It's not right for every product. It has expanded a lot over time. So what happened after that? You ran out of face masks, but you don't sell face masks anymore. So what happened with your e-commerce journey?
Yeah, so I launched on Etsy, and then I realized, you know what? There must be a way to launch on Amazon because I see all these masks there, and clearly something's going on. So what I did is instead of calling it face mask, I just called it mask. I just didn't use the word face mask, and then totally was fine. Amazon didn't take it down. Not only did Amazon not take it down, Amazon pushed me to the first page in 2 weeks because while they say they don't want the demand, they don't want to profit from the pandemic, the demand is still there. So they got to serve the people something, right? So I got around that, and then I started selling on Amazon. But then over by 2020, end of 2021, sales were dead for face masks. So I had to pivot. And that's when I decided to pivot to women's clothing.
Wow. And that's another really, you went from one really, really tough category, face mask, and saturated over time, right? You got in early. But then you moved to women's clothing, which is insane. So many returns. You got to have so many different sizes. Like people in e-commerce are like, avoid apparel like the plague. Don't do it. Don't go near it. What made you, with this experience that you had, decide that women's clothing was the thing to do? And let's talk about your mindset there and how you went about launching a women's clothing brand.
Yeah, so I knew face masks were going to die. I knew I had to do something about it. But it was really because of Etsy that I allowed myself to do women's clothing. Because you're right, Probably women's clothing is the two hardest categories on Amazon. I'd say supplements and women's clothing. Um, but because Etsy, unless you launch products quickly, and the Pareto rule is very real, which is 20% of your products would do 80% of your sales. You can use Etsy with almost very, very little money to figure out what is that 20%. What are those products that will sell? And only launch those 20% winners on Amazon. And for some reason, Amazon's audience and Etsy's audience have almost the exact same behavior. If there's a product that's a top 20% seller on Etsy, 95% chance it will be a top 20 on Amazon. If it failed on Etsy, 95% chance it will also fail on Amazon. And it's almost like magic, that you can launch two products on two totally different platforms and they perform the exact same.
Yeah, so you told me about that when we were at the castle, and that was really interesting how you said, well, what I do is I test my products on Etsy, and then the ones that do really well, I move those over to Amazon. So how did you go about, so you tested these on Etsy, but talk to me about that, because didn't you have to still buy a lot of inventory to test them on Etsy?
You don't. You really only have to buy 20 pieces. And that's why I could keep the capital down. Because all you need is about a week's worth of stats. And then that's it. And you can get those stats with 20 pieces. So would you like me to show you?
Yes, of course. If you share your screen, I'll show it on the screen.
Okay. Let's share my screen.
I'm excited. I also want you to explain all of the, let me just show it on the screen here. Whenever you're ready, I'll bring it up on the screen.
It's ready.
Okay, so all right, we're good to go. We see your screen, we're ready. I'm so excited to dig into the stats too, because you're really good at Etsy stats. So let's learn.
So do you see my Etsy screen?
Yes, I do. I see illusion thigh high, fishnet stockings. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So in every category of products, there's kind of like a benchmark, which is if you're over that benchmark, it's probably 20% winner. If you're under the benchmark, it's probably not. And I figured out that for clothing, or for my type of clothing, the benchmark is a click-through rate of 0.8. And
okay. So that click-through rate is basically how many times your product is shown and versus divided by how many times it's actually clicked on, for those people who don't know what a click-through rate is. So your product had, however many, let's look at the one, you've got that 0.7 there. So you got 13,000 views, it looks like, and 0.7% click-through.
Correct. So that's close. That's very close. So these two, 0.7s, these two are going to be the closest to top 20% seller, whereas these other ones, 0.4, they're not. And that's one, but there's 5 different factors. That's one factor you look at. Second factor would be the conversion rate. The conversion rate, I found, if it's 2 to 4%, then it's likely a top 20% seller. If it's less than that, it's likely not. And then there's also add to cart rate. If it's 4 to 8%, it's likely a top 20% seller. And if it's not, then it probably won't be. And then you can go to your stats and you can find all that out. So let's look at, let's say this year, right?
Yeah.
And you see here, you can calculate your conversion rate very easily by dividing your orders by your views. So those are 3 factors. A 4th factor that's very interesting is the favorite rate. Now look at these favorite rates. This product here has 300 favorites for 1,500 views. That's
Wow, that's really good. That means, so favorite means that people hearted it to maybe save it for later and rebuy it, or maybe add it to cart later on, right? Is that what favorite is on Etsy?
exactly, yeah. So what that means is literally 1 in 5 people that look at this listing add it to their favorite, but not for this second one, for example, which is way lower. This one's even crazier. This one in every 3 people will favor it. Now check out the orders for the ones that are favorited. Do you see how much more higher they are? This one,
Got it.
27 orders for 700 views, 31 orders for 1,500 views. But this one only has 5 orders for 1,000 views.
Wow. Yeah. So then you kind of know that it's just not something that's going to do super well on Amazon, not worth it. Now, when you do move that product over to Amazon, do you sell more on Amazon than you do on Etsy?
Exactly. So Etsy is just the testing ground. Amazon is their bread and butter. So now that you look at the stats and you don't know for sure. It's not like you 100% know for sure, but if you look at the stats and there's just 2 out of 10 products that overwhelmingly have better stats, then it's probably those 2 that are going to rocket on Amazon. So for here, I launched this product and this product on Amazon, and lo and behold, they were one of the top performers, just like they were on Etsy. But instead of doing low numbers of sales, they would do very, very high numbers of sales.
Now, something else that you mentioned is that, you only really need like 20 units of each product to get to test it out on Etsy. And that's really interesting to me because on Amazon, you really need more. You really need more to get an accurate gauge because of the whole fulfilled by Amazon thing, right? Of course you can merch and fulfill, but so many people are Prime members that if you don't at least have like 100 units, it's very hard to get your units distributed across the country and really know that there's interest. So what's so cool about Etsy is that you can do it with 20 units and you're going to get the same search results, or the same search, I guess you can say, you're going to show up the same as you would on Amazon if you had 100 units, is what I mean, right? Obviously, Etsy has lots less site visits. Now, we also should talk about what products Etsy is good for and not good for, right? Because not every product is good for Etsy. So what would you recommend for people who might want to try to use your technique here, which is very, very powerful? What would you recommend for people in determining whether or not Etsy is a good fit for their test product?
Yeah, so Etsy's really expanded. They definitely don't care if it's handmade anymore. But if you look at the categories, it has almost all the categories, right? You've got clothing and jewelry, accessories, home and living, and very thorough with their home and living, kitchen. Then you've got wedding parties, stuff like that, toys. That's a big category on Amazon as well.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like all the Montessori toys that everyone's wanting to launch. Like this would be a great proving ground for them, right?
Exactly. Craft supplies, art. So it's quite a lot of things. The only things that they don't, you can even sell food. Like I've seen people sell cookies on this, for example. Not a lot of other types like supplements, I'd say. Right? Let's search supplements, see what happens. Even supplements are getting a little bit better, but yeah, it's not a ton.
And let's talk about this, like in terms of, how do you look at your competition? So, when I'm looking at this supplements page, for example, You mentioned, I think when we were at the castle, you mentioned something about where you could see how many of your competition had added something to cart. But how do you look at your competition to determine whether even to test a product in the first place?
Yeah, so that's what's nice about Etsy. Etsy gives you so many stats for free. So let's go to just another store and you can see all the data that you're going to get without even trying, right? So let's find a good store.
Now, do you have to have an account to see all this data?
No, you can just browse anonymously. I mean, make an account. Why not, right? But it's wide open. So I was just clicked on this random store. And
Right.
as I'm browsing, do you notice here how it says only one available and it's in one person's cart?
Yeah.
So it tells you how many. So this one has 3 people have this in their cart, right? So it tells you how many people have in their cart. Now this is a little bit of a niche product. Let's find something a little bit less niche, just so I can show you what it looks like when you have so much options. So let's go. I'm gonna. Okay, so let's go to this store right here.
Okay, so the key is to actually go to the store because I wasn't seeing the in the cart stats when I'm just normally browsing Etsy. So it's good to like look at the store is what you're showing me.
Yeah, click on the storefront. And then when you're in the storefront, all of the data will be obvious. So this one, 3 people have it in their cart, 1 person has it in their cart.
So you looking at those have it in their carts as like they've almost made a buying decision there, and that's helpful. Do you also look at reviews on various, like for this shop, for example, various products? If it has a lot of reviews, do you assume that that's a better product?
So the thing about Etsy is they actually don't really divide the reviews per product, which is better for the seller. So what they'll do is those people will look at this right here, the overall
That's for the
review
whole store.
for the whole
That's
store.
not necessarily for just that dress that we're looking at right now. But this dress is in 20 carts right now. So that really tells us like somebody's interested. 20 some people are interested in this.
Exactly. So this one is a pretty active store, so this would be helpful, I think. We're going to click on that one, and you see here. Oh, you know what? It's more challenging when they have coupons, because when they have coupons, you can't just easily browse. But here it says 6 people have this in their cart, right? And
so is that what you're looking at, Chen Chen? Are you looking at like when you're looking at a storefront or you're looking at similar products and you see, 20 people have this in their cart, 6 people have this in their cart. If you're thinking about the category as a whole, then you can go, okay, this boho tank might do well in my store or something like it.
Yeah. So if a product has nothing in the cart, then it's not doing good. If it's over 20, then that's probably a hot seller. And you can even see the frequency of the sale by clicking on this button right here where it says 13,000 sales. Every store, this is wide open. You click on it and it tells you exactly what products were sold and in what order. So these were the products that were sold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you could browse it and see exactly what people are buying. And if you see there's a product that keeps showing up, right? So as we browse through, if there's one specific blouse, like this blouse right here, it was purchased once and then it was purchased again, right?
Yeah.
And you just keep seeing that blouse pop up, like, oh, here it is again, 3rd time. then
Right.
you see that that blouse is getting purchased pretty frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you could do in your store, what might do well. Um, okay. That's really awesome. Any other tips that people need to know about utilizing Etsy as a testing ground? Anything else you check?
So definitely check the not just the stats, but spend a little bit of money on Etsy ads. And when I say little, like literally $10 a day is sufficient. Because what happens is Etsy ads is where you get the click through rate.
Ah,
So this is great to test out your main image, for example. And click through rate is a huge, huge determination of whether this will be a top seller. Because if you get zero point 0.8 or as close as possible to zero point 0.8 or higher in this category of clothing, is going to greatly affect your Amazon performance. Because Amazon's really only going to push up the listings that have great click-through rates.
right.
So then you know the image is good, people are highly interested, it beats the competition. So the first step is really find all these stats, right? Click-through rate, conversion rate, add to cart rate, favorite rate, and review. Like if you can get a couple of reviews, that'd be interesting. And then get a sense of which products will do well, and then only buy those to launch on Amazon.
I love this idea. You know, I have this product idea that I was going to get from Mexico, and I was nervous about launching it on Amazon because it's one of those gut products. It's like I would like it, and I have a few of those gut products that I've sold really, really well over the years. And I'm like, man, in my gut, I know that people will want this, right? And I don't have a lot of data to back it up because it's not something that's currently selling. But I'm famous for helping people find, be confident in launching products that don't have data, right? Just by understanding their customer and their niche and what those people like and what they're looking for, right? So I think this is a great idea because then I can launch just like 20 of each design and see how it does and then move it over to Amazon. It's so low risk. All right, wait, but what about the listings? So when it comes to images and listings, I'm a copywriter. I'm so picky about listings on Amazon, but what can I do for Etsy to make sure that I'm giving my listings a fair chance?
It's actually quite the same as Amazon. It's max out your images. You get, I think, 10 slots, have as many as possible. You can put a video, right? Put nice infographics. Then have keywords strategically throughout the title, throughout the description, in the keyword searches. Type in those keywords and do keyword research. I like to use an app called eRank, which is like Helium 10, but for Etsy, to find keywords with high demand and low competition and scatter around your listing. See what the best sellers, because you could see which ones are best sellers, see how their listings are laid out, and copy them, but make it better. And yeah, so it's really just very similar concepts, which is I call the no-brainer rule, which is you look at your listing and then you look at your competitor's listing. Does your listing as a no-brainer look way better than your competitor? If it does, then you're on the right track. Because you don't even want to be like equal to your competitor. You want to be obviously no-brainer better.
And then once you launch it, you got all the listing, all the great images, you're making sure that you have a better offer. Then you're pouring some gasoline on it. So you're running some ads. Anything about ad targeting or ad types that you want to share on Etsy? You said $10 a day, but is there any kind of ad targeting or ad types that you use on Etsy?
So on Etsy, you don't have a choice. On Etsy, all you can do is turn it on or off. You can have a product be shown with ads or not shown with ads. They say that they let you like choose keywords, but they don't. They really choose it for you. basically Etsy is like an automatic campaign with even less control than on Amazon. And that's actually kind of refreshing in a way because, yeah, you're not going to be able to control what keywords that Etsy shoots for you, but you're going to get a lot of data. You're going to see which keywords Etsy thought would be a good match. You're going to see which keywords actually got you the clicks. And that's all good data that will be helpful when you launch on Amazon.
I love it. I think that that's very easy, and you've really inspired me. You've given me and us like a workshop today on how to do this. And this really blows Amazon's testing of a product out the water because it removes the risk. Now, of course, I'm sure a lot of our overseas sellers, they want to know, how do I handle that on Etsy? I'd have to ship. So if I'm trying to test the US market, do they use a prep center for Etsy? Like what would an overseas seller do if they wanted to use this model and test in the US on Etsy with like 20 of each product?
Have Amazon fulfill it. It's so simple. Amazon does multi-channel fulfillment, right? So send your 20 products to Amazon just like you would normally, but just don't launch the listing, right? You don't even need to put images. If you don't put images or anything, that listing is just suppressed. But the product is still attached to the barcode and ready to be sold, right? So you can have it on Amazon, totally closed listing, but with the inventory ready to sell. The moment you get an Etsy sale, you go on Amazon and you're like, here's the address, fulfill it. Within a day, they'll ship it out to that customer.
So I didn't know that you could still create a fulfillment order from a closed listing.
Absolutely, 100%. I do it all the time. So
wow, that's a great hack.
Yeah. So
wow.
You don't need to hold any inventory. You just have Amazon deal with it.
Now, on Amazon, you do have to have a barcode though. So, if you're trying to avoid that, you might just want to use a prep center. Send it in to a prep center and the prep center will be happy to fulfill it for you. Any prep center can do multi-channel fulfillment, that kind of stuff. So, and the costs are very similar. So if you are nervous about if that's a barrier for you, if having a barcode and maybe your Amazon account is brand new and that's a barrier to entry, the easy thing to do would just be to send it to a prep center, do all your research first, send your units to a prep center, and then have them fulfill.
Absolutely.
Very good. Man, you're giving me so many ideas today. My brain is going. I don't need anything else to do, Shan Shan. Thanks a lot. That's okay, though. I'm so excited about it. Very cool. So you started on Etsy. You moved to Amazon. What made you decide to do that? Like, what made you decide? What gave you the idea to move some of this stuff to Amazon?
Money, yeah, because Etsy's great. It's amazing, really easy to use platform, but there just isn't the amount of people as there are on Amazon. And I probably do at least 80%, if not more, of my sales on Amazon, maybe 90. And Amazon's where you're going to get the volume. So use Etsy to get the data. There's no other platform that I've seen that would get you as holistic and as accurate of a data as Etsy. And when I say accurate, I mean accurate to how it will perform on Amazon. And then once you know the winners, then buy a good amount of inventory, launch like a rock star on Amazon, and probably 90% is going to do amazing.
And the other thing that you mentioned in our pre-show write-up is you said, I only launched with PPC on Amazon. So shifting over to Amazon, talk to us about your launch process. Give us all the hacks.
Yeah, so Amazon has a honeymoon period, 45 days, where if you get one sale, they're going to see it as like 4 sales. And you're going to get shot up the rankings really quickly, but you've got to get it ASAP. And PPC is without a doubt the best way to do it. You won't get as much if you get influencers, right? Because Amazon doesn't know where they came from. Whereas when you get one sale from PPC, not only do you get that conversion rate, but Amazon knows for sure that you got that sale from this keyword. So that they know for sure that this keyword is relevant to your listing. And therefore, a close on PPC ad spend is just worth more to get organic rankings, to maximize your honeymoon period. So what I do is, you got to go hard on the first 45 days, lowest price possible. Don't even worry about making money. Really just trying to get the sales to shoot up the ranking for organic SEO. And then, and with PPC, launch all different types of campaigns. Launch product targeting, launch keyword targeting, branded, all different kinds, and really invest in a good launch. And then if all goes well and you don't run out of inventory, you can ride that momentum wave where even after 45 days, you're still going up. And I've seen, I work with a lot of Amazon sellers, some that have went from $0 to $500,000 revenue per month. And that's what they did, is they invested in PPC. They had a good product that the market wanted, just how you figure it out on Etsy. And then you launched the campaigns to make the best of the honeymoon period.
Yes, yes. And I just want to say hello to Carla. Carla's here watching us today, and she actually is launching a new product on Amazon, and would actually be a really good fit for Etsy. So Carla, you should definitely do some cross-selling there since your products are already at Amazon. That's really awesome. I love it. Now, I do want to add that if you do use influencers or external traffic, that you should make sure that you give Amazon the opportunity to track that, right? So if you use Amazon Attribution Program, they are actually able to track that keyword, that it's coming from. And external traffic keywords that are linked rank 3-to-1 over PPC when it comes to launching and ranking. So we actually ran tests with Google Ads when we launched over the years, and that really will grow your rank super fast. So make sure that you do use, if you are going to use external traffic, like Shan said, don't just send it out there to just random influencers with a normal link and, we don't know where it's coming from. Make sure you're using attribution or you're creating an influencer promotion code, because that way Amazon can track exactly where it came from and give you that ranking for it. Amazon does like external traffic because you're sending them potential new Prime members, and they almost have 100% of the United States as members. So that's really good. But on the same side, I definitely know so many people that launch PPC only and do a great job. So I think that, there's multiple considerations for that. And I love that you have mastered that, Shan. I also love that you are using all different types of ads when you're launching. I haven't heard that. Most of the time I hear that people usually just use sponsored product ads and not necessarily brand or video ads in the beginning, because the sponsored product ads rank you and the other ones supposedly do not. But I'm guessing what your goal is with utilizing all the different types of ads is really painting the page with your products and just getting every sale you can get.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you that it may not be wise to do a ton of, say, video ads or display ads in the beginning, because a keyword ad typically is where most of the sales will come from. And there's been some talk in the Amazon community that with video ads, for example, the keyword ad may have done all the work in getting that sale, but because the customer saw the video ad once, then the video ad gets the win. So it looks like the video ad was the converting, it's like super high ROAS converting campaign, when in reality it was the keyword ad. So
yeah, I've heard that too. And I think it's all about testing and tweaking, right? That's the point, is like different people are going to find different things that work for them. And it sounds like your approach is a layered approach. So you're starting with those keyword ads, you're starting with the product targeting, the sponsored product ads, and then you're layering in other things as you gain traction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I so appreciate it. What advice do you have for our listeners if they're looking to get started in e-commerce, and they're just not sure what to do, not sure if they should even do this, especially, there's an economic downturn coming. What are your thoughts on that? And what's your piece of advice from a very successful seller on many, many platforms to somebody who might be thinking about getting into e-commerce or is just starting off?
Yeah, so it's the first step is always the hardest. So I would recommend don't quit your job. Stay with your original job. I didn't for 6 months, and just have it as a side hobby. Maybe not even don't even try to make money, right? Just be okay losing the money. Sell literally anything. Doesn't If you have analysis paralysis, which a lot of people do, sell literally anything. Don't even worry if it's like a good product, just to get the hang of it, just to start getting the vibe. And then eventually, once you get the vibe of how everything works, then you'll just naturally be braver. And then when you try again, you may find a really, really good product. It'll come to you, watch. Always say, watch, 100 YouTube videos a day. I have a YouTube channel. So if you guys want to follow me, I made some videos about this whole process. Have it in the background when you're washing dishes, watch YouTube videos. And even if you're not fully paying attention, just the fact that you're constantly surrounded by e-commerce and people doing it, your brain just naturally absorbs it and will start noticing around you all the opportunities out there. So if you don't want to act now, that's fine, but just surround yourself in a world where it's e-commerce talk all the time, when you're learning, even when you don't think you're learning, and eventually you will figure out a good time to take action.
I love it. That's such great advice. I love where you're just like, sell anything. Like, I sold face masks in a time when it was like scary to sell face masks. I love it. And, you just kept on going. And I love it when you go your own way. And it's great to watch YouTube videos and follow people and all of that. I learned a ton when I was just getting started. I was just trying to absorb it all. I was listening to Manny Coates' podcast in the beginning. Whatever I could consume, I was consuming. And I think that that's so important, but don't let your consumption keep you from starting. And that's, just don't let it overwhelm you. Let it help educate you and inspire you, and then just go do. And don't be afraid to go your own way, because look at what Shan did. She went her own way. I'm pretty sure if she would ask somebody like me, hey, Amy, should I sell face masks? I'd be like, I don't know. But she didn't ask. She went out and she went after it. She consumed the information. She got a little bit of information, a lot of information. And then she just went her own way, and she went about it, and she tested, dipped her toe in the water, and she went after it. And now look at her. She's doing so great and doing so many things. So speaking of which, you mentioned you have a YouTube channel. You mentioned, I know now you're helping out with advertising and Trivium Group. So talk to everybody real quick about how they can contact you, where they can follow you. And you mentioned something about maybe you can do like an ad strategy session with them or something. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so as a gift to anyone that listens to Amy, if you reach out to me, and you can add me on LinkedIn, Shan Fu, or email me at hello@millennialshops.com. And let me pop this into the chat. Then, am I able to write? I'll send it to you later, Amy.
Yeah, no worries. I'll put it in there. You said hello at
millennialshops.com.
All right.
Then I will get my engineer to launch my products to review your Amazon PPC and give you a 30-minute video telling you exactly what to improve, where the opportunities are, how to fix your campaigns, how your listing is doing, all of that. A nice little video so you can watch it whenever you want, personalized to your product, just as a gift. And I'm happy to help with anything. If you guys have questions about sourcing or about hiring or anything like that, let me know, and you can reach out to me via LinkedIn or email.
Amazing. I really, really appreciate your time today, Shan Shan, and you sharing your story. It was so great to meet you at that castle in France. That's another thing we e-commerce people do. We go to events and we learn from each other, and we just connected there. And we've seen each other at a few events ever since, and we've kept in touch. And it's just so good to know, especially other women in the industry that are doing things, because we learn so much from each other, and we can all grow together by figuring things out and doing great things in the industry and sharing them with others. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll catch you guys next time on the next Wednesday Wisdom. And oh, by the way, don't forget, we're doing an AI Business Summit in May. Go ahead and check it out at amazingathome.com/AI. I've brought together all of my favorite speakers, all the people who are doing things in AI that I want to learn from. I'm not even speaking, you guys. I just want to learn. So come and join me. Come learn with me. Let's be better at utilizing these new tools in our businesses. Check that out at amazingathome.com/AI. We have early bird pricing right now, so get in on it. It's a 2-day virtual summit. And hopefully we'll see you guys there. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again, Shan Shan. Bye, everybody.